Hello and welcome. So glad you are here. Thank you for being here. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. I'm here today to talk about easy self-care because self-care is part of self-love. I've been on a little bit of a rant lately about self-love and how we need to love and appreciate ourselves and all of the benefits of that and the risks of not doing that. So I'm here today to talk about one aspect of self-love, and that is self-care. Now, the whole idea of self-care can seem overwhelming and, overwhelming. So, we're going to talk about some easy methods for self-care and how to focus on your self-care in a way that you can fit into your busy schedule. Because I know that as professionals, we're busy. We have a ton of things to do at work. We got to go to the grocery store, the doctor. You have kids to take care of, maybe parents to take care of, property, everything. You're swamped and overwhelmed. So, we're going to talk about how to make this easy. But first of all, let's talk about why it's important. And so, and what is self care? What is self care? Well, self care is exactly what it sounds like, caring for yourself and your needs. And we're going to talk about why this is so important and why you want to participate in self care and make it part of every day, part of your regular routine, part of your habits, and why it is so important for you to do this. What is self care not? Well, self care is not greedy, it's not selfish, it's not overly indulgent. You're not just indulging yourself in something that's frivolous. It's important. And so it's not selfish. So many of us have beliefs around self care being greedy and narcissistic. So, if any of these things ring true for you, I encourage you to do a little bit of self examination and think about why that might be coming up for you. And see if you can really embrace a belief that your self care is not only important for you, it's important for the people in your life who you care about. And that's why it's so important to make it a priority and to make sure that we get it that fit into our days. And so let's talk a little bit more about the benefits of self care. Self care, like I said, it's part of self love. And so this is one of the aspects of loving ourselves and understanding our self worth. Self care, regular self care will help your health, help you feel more energized and vibrant. It helps your relationships because when we feel better, we do better, we have more patience, we can think through our communications a little bit. More carefully, and we can be more productive. When I have more energy, and you have more energy and more vibrance and vitality, and you're thinking clearly and you're just more creative, and we get more done. And when we get more done and we have better relationships, particularly at work, we experience more success. And that's true in our personal lives too. When we are more compassionate and sensitive and have more emotional intelligence around our communications, it really benefits our relationships and our success, both personally and professionally. Um, Barriers. Sometimes the self care doesn't happen because of barriers. And what I hear from my clients when I'm coaching my clients one on one is they say, "I don't have time for that, Lisa." I understand that we all have way more to do than we can fit a lot of times into a regular day, and so it's important to prioritize and see what we can get done, and maybe just 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes during the day. So, or first thing in the morning. Some of my clients tell me that they feel selfish, that they feel like they should be putting others first. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a minute. So just hold that thought. Some people have expectations that, again, expectations and beliefs that they're being greedy or selfish, or that their value is in putting others first. Does that ring true with you? If it does, I want you to take a minute to think about that and think about, can you really benefit others and help others and nurture others if you are drained, tired, experiencing fatigue, experiencing overwhelm? What does that do to your ability to really care and be of value to others? And see if we can flip that that thinking that shows up as barriers to your self care practices. Remember what flight attendants tell us when we get on the plane, and they go through that routine of showing us all of the safety precautions and procedures when we're in flight. And that, what do they tell us? They tell us to put on our oxygen pack first, to take care of ourselves first before we take care of those around us and those we're responsible for. And why is that? We have to be able to be in good shape in mind, body, spirit, etc., before we can really be valuable to others. There was when my mother's mother, was very sick. I remember her, and it was about a year before my mother's mother passed away, my grandmother. And I remember my grandmother saying to my mother, "You've got to take care of yourself," because my mother was an only child, and there was really nobody else to take care of my grandmother if anything were to happen to my mother. So my grandmother would always tell her, "Jean, you need to take care of yourself. Get your rest, eat your vegetables, don't work too hard, because I need you to be able to be healthy and energized to take care of me." And that wasn't really selfish. It was smart of her to encourage my mother to participate in her own self care so that she could be uh, prepared to take care of those around her. Does that make sense to you? If so, please give me a comment. I'd appreciate it. So remember what the flight attendants tell us, and think about your self care. Now, self care can fall into one of these five different categories, and I blew through these quickly just a minute or so ago: physical, mental, social, spiritual, and emotional. I'd like for you to take a minute and just think about how you are doing in each one of these five categories. If you're watching this on replay, then go ahead and pause the video now and take a minute to go through these categories and think about which one you could do better on and which ones you're doing well on. See if you can come up with one category out of this checklist that you could concentrate on and improve your self care. Would it be physical? Would it be spiritual? Would it be social? In which area could you invest some time and make some improvements and really benefit from that in your life? In other words, where are the low hanging fruit? Where do you think you would get the biggest bang for your buck? And which category would it be in? And like I said, if you're watching this on replay, go ahead and pause here and just take a minute to think about which area you would like to concentrate in on. But if you have an idea and you're watching live, then go ahead and put it in the comments for me. I appreciate it. And so now that you know which category, I'm going to go through physical as just one example, but you go through this process on your own and think through it. So maybe you picked spiritual, just think through the process as I go through this slide. Ask yourself some probing questions. If you did pick the physical category on the checklist, ask yourself some probing questions. In which specific area of the physical self care category could you improve? Again, look for some low hanging fruit. No pun intended. Are you eating well? Are you getting enough exercise? Do you feel like you are in control of your health? And if not, start thinking about in which areas are you not feeling in control of your health, and how could you gain more control? How are you sleeping? I would encourage you to focus. You've got your category from your checklist from the previous slide. And as you're thinking about your one area on the checklist, Is there one area within that area that you could concentrate on? This is how we simplify, because if I'm thinking about my physical health or my spiritual well being, that can be really overwhelming. So ask yourself, what is the one category that I could really leverage to make some improvements? And again, with the example of physical self care, what can I do to maybe eat a little bit better or exercise a little bit more regularly? Think about one change you could make. Again, with the low hanging fruit. If you have joined us live, please make a comment if you have anything to share or a question. I can see your comments here. I think, unless you're on LinkedIn. But pick that one area. Let's say I'm going to pick sleeping. I want to start getting, say, I've picked the physical category. So now I'm going to think about my sleeping, because I think that that is where I can make the biggest improvement. So that's a subcategory. How can I improve my sleeping? And one of the things I could do is go to bed earlier. And instead of staying up until midnight, I could go to bed at 10 and maybe read something relaxing for 10 or 15 minutes before I turn the light out and go to sleep. So that's an example of a subcategory within the main category, and one habit that I could change just to where I could have the biggest impact in my overall self care plan right now. So, continuing with that, let's think about again self care. And remember, this is absolutely the crux of the matter. Self care is not a luxury, it is absolutely essential to your happiness, your fulfillment, your productivity, which leads to success. And you can't really love yourself if you aren't willing to care for yourself. So, I've been talking a lot lately about on social media about self love, and this is one of the most important aspects of self love and developing that loving relationship with yourself. So remember, it's a vital, it's not a nice to have, it's not icing on the cake. It really is a cornerstone of your self love experience, process, and habits. So I want to back up a little bit now. We've talked about some how to find one goal within your self care plan. I'm going to back up now and talk about self love just briefly. Self love is made up of six different aspects of behavior, habits, and lifestyle: self worth, self awareness, self care, which I talked about today, self respect, self esteem, and self growth. When I'm doing a workshop on on Thursday in 2 days at 11 a.m. Central Time. I'm doing a workshop where I am going to be going through all of these categories of self love and giving participants the opportunity to think through which of the six categories or aspects of self love they really want to concentrate on, and developing a plan for themselves. If you're interested in participating on Thursday in our workshop, which is called Self Love for Busy Professionals, please click on the link in the chat and you can sign up there. It's free, and you'll be getting some resources with you at the workshop that you'll be able to take with you to help you with your self love plan and habits and lifestyle beyond the workshop. So I hope you'll sign up. I hope I get to see you there. Remember that for your self care, which we talked about today, I encourage you to pick one area of self care out of the five that we reviewed, and then pick one new habit out of that category, really break it down and think about how you're going to achieve that one habit. So for me, with the sleep habit, I'm going to mark that out on my calendar. I'm going to plan around it, make sure that my evening activities stop early enough that I can achieve my goal of getting into bed by a certain time. I'm going to block that time on my calendar, and maybe every week, um, I will reward myself for um, a a repeated process of getting into bed on time. So that is one of the ways that we can create easy and quick self-love practices in our daily routines. The is to pick one area of self-care, pick one habit we're going to change, put the time on the calendar, prioritize yourself, because this is how we take care of ourselves and take care of others. And then as you succeed and achieve your goals, reward yourself. Buy yourself something new, or treat yourself to watching a movie or going for a walk. Find ways to reward yourself for your new habits, and then continue to plan forward. Hilda, thank you so much for the comment. I appreciate it. The Usually you sleep less hours, and mainly when I have an idea around in my mind, I practice meditation to relax myself. Meditation is a phenomenal self-care habit. Hilda, thank you so much for sharing that. I imagine that by you sharing that, other people will be inspired also. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I also frequently meditate to help myself relax and get sleepy before I go to bed. I find that to be extremely helpful. And I'd love, maybe you and I could talk offline. I'm very curious about what kind of relaxation methods you use. If you use guided meditation or a timed meditation, or if you listen to music. I think a meditation is a wonderful self care habit anytime during the day. So I hope that you will join the Self Love Workshop that's happening on Thursday at 11 o'clock Central Time. If you can't make it at that time, I encourage you to sign up, because once I have your email address, I can send you a link to the replay. So, and the resource materials that I will be sharing at the free workshop. So, with that, I'm going to I'll certainly open it up to questions, but also feel free to take a screenshot of this page. These are a variety of different ways to follow me and to get in touch with me at anytime you'd like to. If you have questions about feminine emergence, feminine energy, self care, or self love, or the workshop coming up on Thursday. And with that, I really appreciate it. If anybody has any questions or any other thoughts or suggestions about self care and self love, which is what we're talking about today, we're really talking about self care, a dimension of self love. I'd love to see your questions or comments. And if not, we'll close. And I usually am live at least once a week. Wherever you're watching, you can see me there. I think that there are sometimes some challenges with me seeing everybody's texts on LinkedIn. But Hilda, I think that you are coming through on LinkedIn today, which is fabulous. So I'm glad to see that, because we've had problems before with being able to get people's comments and questions on the LinkedIn platform. So if there are no other questions, and sometimes they come through a little bit slowly, so I'll just wait just a minute in case anyone else is typing. But save that link, please, and I hope to see you on Thursday. And with that, thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.